Stop Giving a Fuck, written and published by Ngasline. In a world obsessed with making you care about everything, it's time to discover the raw, uncensored truth about what actually matters before it's too late. This isn't another gentle self-help book telling you to find your purpose or manifest positivity. Instead, you're about to learn the 20 brutal but liberating truths that successful, confident people figured out years ago, while everyone else stays stuck caring about things that steal their time, drain their energy, and keep them anxiously seeking approval. From realizing that most people's opinions of you don't matter, and never did, to understanding why being nice might be ruining your life, to discovering why your biggest regrets will be about the things you didn't do rather than the things you did. These insights will finally free you from the exhausting game of caring about the wrong things. If you're tired of overthinking, people, pleasing, and letting the world dictate your worth, this no-nonsense guide will show you exactly how to stop giving your fucks to things that don't deserve them and start living life on your own terms. Lesson 1. Most fears are paper tigers. Fear is one of humanity's most primal emotions, yet in our modern world, most of what we fear exists solely in our minds. These paper tigers, fears that appear threatening but lack real substance, dominate our lives and prevent us from reaching our potential. The truth is, your brain can't distinguish between real and imagined threats, which is why you experience the same physiological responses whether you're facing a genuine danger or just worrying about an upcoming presentation. Think about the last time you were paralyzed by fear. Maybe it was before speaking in public, asking someone out, or quitting your soul-crushing job. In that moment, your mind likely conjured worst-case scenarios that felt real and threatening. Your palms got sweaty, your heart raced, and your stomach churned. But how many of those catastrophic outcomes actually materialized? Probably none. This is the nature of paper tigers. They roar loudly but disappear when confronted. Most people live their entire lives avoiding situations that trigger fear, never realizing that the very act of avoidance reinforces these false threats. Each time you step back from fear, you send a message to your brain that the threat is real and must be avoided at all costs. This creates a vicious cycle where your fears grow stronger while your courage muscle atrophies. The pattern is predictable. You encounter a challenging situation. Your mind generates worst-case scenarios. Your body responds with anxiety, and you retreat to safety. Rinse and repeat. This pattern might keep you comfortable, but it also keeps you small. The most successful and fulfilled people aren't fearless. They're just better at recognizing paper tigers for what they are and moving forward anyway. Consider this. Research shows that 85% of what we worry about never happens, and of the 15% that does happen, most people handle it better than they expected. This means the vast majority of your fears are completely unfounded. You're burning precious mental and emotional energy fighting imaginary battles. Breaking free from paper tigers requires a fundamental shift in how you view fear. Instead of seeing it as a warning to stop, recognize it as a signal that you're about to grow. Fear appears at the edge of your comfort zone, precisely where the most meaningful opportunities exist. When you feel afraid, ask yourself, what's the worst that could realistically happen? Usually, the answer is far less devastating than your imagination suggests. The key to overcoming paper tigers lies in gradual exposure. Start small. If you're afraid of public speaking, begin by sharing your thoughts in small group discussions. If you fear rejection, start by making simple requests that have low stakes. Each time you face a fear and survive, you collect evidence that contradicts your brain's threat assessment. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to act despite it. Every time you face a paper tiger, you strengthen your resilience and expand your comfort zone. The fear might not disappear completely, but its power over you diminishes. This is how you build real confidence, not through positive thinking or affirmations, but through direct experience. Your fears may feel real, but most are just paper tigers waiting to be exposed. They appear solid and threatening from a distance, but crumble when confronted with reality. The next time fear holds you back, remember this. On the other side of that paper tiger lies everything you want: growth, opportunity, and a life lived on your own terms. The choice is yours. Stay trapped behind imaginary barriers or step forward and discover that most of what you fear exists only in your mind. Lesson 2. Time spent pleasing others is wasted. The relentless pursuit of others' approval is perhaps one of the most destructive habits we develop as social creatures. From an early age, we're conditioned to seek validation from parents, teachers, peers, and eventually, society at large. This ingrained behavior follows us into adulthood, where it morphs into a chronic need to please everyone around us, often at the expense of our own well-being and authenticity. Let's be brutally honest. Trying to please everyone is not only impossible, but also a complete waste of your precious time and energy. Every minute spent trying to win someone's approval is a minute stolen from your own growth, happiness, and potential. The harsh reality is that pleasers often end up being respected less, not more, as others sense their desperate need for validation and exploit it. Think about the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no. Maybe it was taking on extra work when you were already overwhelmed, attending a social event you had zero interest in, or agreeing with someone's opinion just to avoid conflict. Each of these moments represents a small betrayal of yourself, a tiny crack in your personal integrity that widens over time. The cost of pleasing extends far beyond just wasted time. It drains your emotional energy, creates resentment, and ultimately leads to burnout. You become a hollow version of yourself, wearing different masks for different people, losing touch with who you really are and what you truly want from life. Setting boundaries isn't being selfish, it's being sane. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and resources are finite and precious. Every time you say yes to someone else's priorities, you're saying no to your own. This doesn't mean becoming a jerk or completely disregarding others' feelings. It means making conscious choices about where you invest your energy and learning to say no without guilt or extensive justification. The art of saying no is a skill that requires practice. Start small. You don't need to explain yourself extensively or make up elaborate excuses. A simple, "I'm sorry, but that doesn't work for me," is sufficient. Watch how the world doesn't end when you decline requests. Notice how respect for your time actually increases when you set clear boundaries. Authentic relationships are built on honesty, not constant accommodation. The people who truly matter in your life would respect your boundaries and appreciate your authenticity. Those who get upset when you stop being their doormat were never really your friends to begin with. Your time on this planet is limited. Every moment spent trying to win approval from others is a moment you'll never get back. Instead of bending yourself into shapes to please others, focus on being someone you're proud to be. Make decisions based on your values, not others' expectations. Pursue goals that matter to you, not what society deems impressive. Stop apologizing for having preferences, opinions, and boundaries. Start treating your time and energy as the valuable resources they are. The freedom that comes from breaking free from the pleasing trap is worth any temporary discomfort or pushback you might face. When you finally stop giving a fuck about pleasing everyone else, you create space to actually please the one person who matters most, yourself. Learning to prioritize your own well-being isn't selfish, it's survival. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup and that taking care of yourself first enables you to be truly present and valuable in your relationships with others. So the next time you feel the urge to say yes when you want to say no, remember, time spent pleasing others is time you'll never get back. Make it count. Lesson 3. Your comfort zone is a prison. We've all heard the phrase, life begins at the end of your comfort zone, but most of us still cling to our familiar routines and safe spaces like a security blanket. Your comfort zone isn't the cozy sanctuary you think it is. It's a self-imposed prison that's slowly killing your potential, one comfortable day at a time. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Chances are, it wasn't while scrolling through social media on your couch or following the same daily routine you've had for years. Those moments of genuine aliveness come when you're pushing boundaries, taking risks and venturing into unknown territory. Yet, we resist these opportunities because our brains are hardwired to seek safety and avoid uncertainty. The signs of being trapped in your comfort zone are subtle but insidious. You find yourself making excuses to avoid new experiences. You feel anxious at the mere thought of change. Your dreams remain dreams because now isn't the right time. You watch others achieve what you want while convincing yourself they're just luckier or more talented. These are the bars of your prison, and you're both the prisoner and the guard. Breaking free requires understanding that discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your ticket to growth. Every significant achievement in human history came from someone willing to embrace discomfort. The first humans who ventured out of their caves weren't comfortable. The Wright brothers weren't comfortable. The first person who decided to eat a strange-looking mushroom definitely wasn't comfortable. Yet here we are, benefiting from their courage to step beyond what felt safe. The process of breaking free starts with small steps. You don't need to quit your job and move to a foreign country tomorrow, unless that's your thing. Start by doing one thing each day that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Take a different route to work. Strike up a conversation with a stranger. Share your opinion in that meeting you usually stay quiet in. Each small act of courage builds upon the last, gradually expanding your comfort zone until it becomes more of a comfort continent than a zone. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean being reckless or putting yourself in genuine danger. It means recognizing the difference between real threats and the imaginary ones your mind creates to keep you safe. That presentation you're afraid to give won't kill you. Asking someone out on a date won't cause the world to end. Starting that business might lead to failure, but it won't destroy your life. The most powerful realization is that discomfort is temporary, but the growth it brings is permanent. Every time you push through discomfort, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. This builds genuine confidence, not the fake kind that comes from staying safe, but the earned kind that comes from facing challenges and surviving them. Your comfort zone will always try to pull you back in. It will whisper sweet nothings about safety and security. It will remind you of past failures and potential risks. But remember this, on your deathbed, you won't regret the times you tried and failed. You'll regret the times you let your comfort zone talk you out of trying it all. The world belongs to those willing to be uncomfortable. Success, love, adventure, and fulfillment all live on the other side of your comfort zone. The choice is yours. Remain in your comfortable prison where everything is predictable but nothing truly satisfying happens, or break free and discover what you're really capable of. The door is unlocked. It always has been. You just have to be brave enough to walk through it. Lesson 4. Nobody thinks about you that much. We spend an extraordinary amount of time worrying about what others think of us. That awkward moment when you tripped in public. That time you said something stupid in a meeting. The outfit you wore to that party last month. Here's the liberating truth. People barely noticed, and if they did, they've long forgotten about it. This phenomenon is called the spotlight effect, our tendency to overestimate how much attention others pay to our appearance and actions. We're the stars of our own mental movies, but we're merely extras in everyone else's. Think about it. How much time do you spend thinking about that person who stumbled on the sidewalk last week? Or that colleague who mispronounced a word during a presentation? Exactly. The reality is that most people are too wrapped up in their own lives, insecurities, and challenges to give your perceived failures more than a passing thought. They're dealing with their own mortgages, relationship issues, career concerns, and personal dramas. Your small social flaws barely registers on their radar. This truth becomes even more apparent when you consider how self-absorbed most of our thinking is. Studies show that an average person spends about 95% of their time thinking about themselves, their problems, their future, their relationships, their goals. This leaves precious little mental space for scrutinizing others' behaviors or appearances. Understanding this can be incredibly liberating. It means you can stop performing for an audience that isn't really watching. That self-consciousness that holds you back from dancing at parties, speaking up in meetings, or wearing what you really want. It's based on a false assumption that others are paying close attention to your every move. The paradox is that by worrying less about others' opinions, you become more authentic and, ironically, more magnetic to others. When you stop trying to carefully curate every aspect of your public persona, you free up mental energy to actually engage with life and connect with people genuinely. This doesn't mean you should become inconsiderate or completely disregard others' feelings. Instead, it's about finding the sweet spot between being aware of your impact on others and not being paralyzed by imagined judgment. It's about understanding that most of the judgment you fear exists primarily in your own mind. Consider how this knowledge might change your daily choices. Would you speak up more in meetings if you truly believed that people weren't obsessing over your every word? Would you try that new hobby if you knew that others were too focused on their own lives to judge your beginner's attempts? Would you wear that bold outfit if you realized that most people are too preoccupied with their own appearance to scrutinize yours? Living with this awareness requires practice. Next time you feel self-conscious, remind yourself that everyone else is probably too busy thinking about themselves to notice your perceived flaws or mistakes. Use this understanding as a permission slip to be more daring, more authentic, and more yourself. The real power comes when you start directing all that energy you use to spend worrying about others' opinions towards something more productive, like pursuing your goals, developing your skills, or building meaningful relationships. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion about your life that truly matters is your own. Remember, while you're agonizing over that minor social slip-up, most people have already moved on to thinking about their own lives. This isn't depressing, it's freeing. It means you have permission to stop being your own worst critic and start being your most authentic self. The world is too busy to notice your small mistakes, so why should you give them more attention than they deserve? Lesson 5. Regret hurts more than rejection. The fear of rejection holds countless people back from pursuing their dreams, asking for what they want, and living life on their own terms. But here's the brutal truth. The pain of regret cuts deeper and lasts longer than any rejection you'll ever face. While rejection stings temporarily, regret festers in your mind, haunting you with endless what, ifs and if-onlys. Think about the last time you were rejected. Maybe it was a job application, a romantic interest, or a business proposal. The pain was real, but how long did it actually last? A few days? A few weeks? Now think about something you deeply regret not doing. Notice how that feeling lingers, growing stronger with time rather than fading away. Rejection is a natural part of life and personal growth. Every successful person you admire has faced countless rejections on their path to achievement. Rowling's Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. These rejections, while painful at the moment, became mere footnotes in their stories of success. The psychology of regret is fascinating and devastating. Our brains are wired to feel losses more intensely than gains, and missed opportunities register as losses in our mental accounting. When we avoid taking action due to fear of rejection, we're essentially choosing a guaranteed negative outcome, regret, over a potential negative outcome, rejection, that could lead to positive results. Taking calculated risks doesn't mean being reckless. It means weighing the potential consequences of both action and inaction. Most people overestimate the impact of rejection and underestimate the lasting effects of regret. That promotion you were too afraid to ask for. That person you never told your feelings to. That business you never started. These aren't just missed opportunities. They're chosen regrets. Embracing rejection as a natural part of growth changes everything. When you understand that rejection is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a normal part of the journey, you can approach life's challenges with more courage and resilience. Each rejection brings valuable feedback, learning opportunities, and often redirects you toward better paths you wouldn't have discovered otherwise. The most successful people aren't those who face the least rejection. They're the ones who face rejection head on and keep moving forward. They understand that every no brings them closer to a yes, and every closed door leads to an open window. They've learned to separate rejection of their ideas or actions from rejection of their person. Consider this. On your deathbed, you won't be haunted by the rejections you faced. You'll be haunted by the chances you never took, the words you never spoke, and the dreams you never pursued. The pain of rejection is temporary, but the weight of regret is a burden you'll carry forever if you let fear guide your decisions. Start small if you need to. Ask for something you want, knowing rejection is possible. Share your ideas, even if they might not be accepted. Apply for that position, even if you don't meet all the requirements. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you're building resilience and reducing the power that potential rejection holds over you. Remember, rejection is a single moment in time, while regret is a life sentence you impose on yourself. The next time you're hesitating to take action because of fear of rejection, ask yourself, will I regret not trying more than I'll regret trying and failing? The answer will almost always point you toward action, toward growth, and toward a life with fewer regrets and more possibilities. Lesson 6. Tomorrow isn't promised. Act now. Life has a peculiar way of slipping through our fingers while we're busy making plans for tomorrow. The cold, harsh truth is that tomorrow isn't guaranteed for anyone. Yet, most people live as if they have an endless supply of tomorrows, pushing their dreams, ambitions, and even simple pleasures into some mythical future that may never arrive. Procrastination is more than just a bad habit. It's a silent dream killer. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start next week," you're betting against your own mortality. This isn't meant to be morbid. It's meant to wake you up. The most successful and fulfilled people aren't necessarily the most talented or privileged. They're the ones who understand the value of immediate action. The urgency mindset isn't about living in constant anxiety or rushing through life. Instead, it's about developing a healthy relationship with time and action. When you truly internalize that each day is a gift rather than a guarantee, your perspective shifts dramatically. That conversation you've been meaning to have with a loved one, that business idea you've been sitting on, that trip you've been dreaming about, the time is now. Consider how many opportunities have already passed you by while you waited for the perfect moment. Here's another brutal truth. Perfect moments don't exist. They're created by taking action, regardless of circumstances. Every day you postpone action, you're not just delaying success, you're actively choosing failure by default. Taking immediate action doesn't mean being reckless or unprepared. It means starting before you feel ready, because let's face it, you'll never feel completely ready. Start that business with the resources you have now. Begin that fitness journey with just 10 minutes a day. Write that book one paragraph at a time. The key is to transform thoughts into action, no matter how small the initial step may seem. Making every day count requires a fundamental shift in how you view time. Stop treating time like an infinite resource. Each morning when you wake up, treat it as if it's your last chance to make progress toward your goals. This mindset eliminates the luxury of procrastination and forces you to prioritize what truly matters. The most common regret of dying people isn't what they did. It's what they didn't do. They regret the chances they didn't take, the words they didn't speak, and the dreams they didn't pursue. Don't let your life become a collection of somedays and what-ifs. The future is not promised, but the present moment is yours to seize. Take inventory of your life right now. What are you postponing? What excuses are you making? What excuses are you making? What dreams are collecting dust while you wait for the right time? Now imagine if you only had 6 months to live. Would your priorities and actions change? Would you still wait to pursue what matters most to you? The truth is, we don't need a terminal diagnosis to start living with urgency. We need to acknowledge that every day we're alive is both a gift and an opportunity. Stop hitting the snooze button on your life. Stop waiting for permission, perfect conditions, or divine intervention. The universe doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who act. Today, right now, is your moment. Whether you're reading this at midnight or midday, there's something you can do immediately to move closer to your goals. Send that email, make that call, write that first page, book that ticket, have that conversation. Whatever it is, do it now. Lesson 7. Opinions are cheap. Ignore most. In a world where everyone has something to say about everything, learning to filter opinions has become a crucial survival skill. The democratization of information through social media and digital platforms has created an overwhelming flood of unsolicited advice, criticism, and commentary. While this accessibility to diverse perspectives can be valuable, it's essential to recognize that not all opinions deserve your attention or consideration. The first step in mastering opinion management is understanding that most people speak from their own limited experiences, fears, and biases. When someone tells you that your business idea won't work, they're often projecting their own failures or insecurities. When family members insist on a traditional career path, they're usually speaking from their generational perspective of stability and security. These opinions, while well-intentioned, may not align with your reality, goals, or circumstances. Identifying valuable feedback requires developing a sharp filter. Look for opinions from people who have actually accomplished what you're trying to achieve or have relevant expertise in your area of interest. Pay attention to those who have skin in the game. Individuals who have faced similar challenges and emerged successful. Their insights, even if difficult to hear, often carry more weight than abstract theories from armchair critics. Critics are everywhere, and they become louder as you become more visible or successful. Criticism often says more about the critic than the criticized. Many critics are frustrated individuals who find it easier to tear others down than to build themselves up. While constructive criticism can be valuable, learn to distinguish between feedback aimed at helping you improve and negativity designed to diminish your confidence. Trusting your judgment becomes easier when you understand that you're the only one who truly knows your complete situation, capabilities, and aspirations. External opinions, regardless of their source, can't account for all the nuances of your personal circumstances. While it's wise to consider different perspectives, the final decision-making authority should always rest with you. Develop a practice of selective hearing. Not every opinion needs to be acknowledged, defended, or even heard. Create boundaries around whose input you value and when you seek it. Sometimes the best response to unsolicited advice is a simple thank you without any commitment to act on it. This approach helps maintain relationships while protecting your mental space and decision-making autonomy. The internet has made everyone an expert on everything, but real expertise comes from experience, study, and proven results. When seeking guidance, look for credible sources with demonstrated success in their field. Be particularly wary of social media experts who offer oversimplified solutions to complex problems. True wisdom often acknowledges the complexity and nuance of different situations rather than promoting one size fits all answers. Even expert opinions should be evaluated critically. What worked for someone else might not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. Use others' experiences as reference points rather than rigid blueprints. The most valuable opinions often come from those who encourage you to think for yourself rather than blindly follow their advice. Face the reality that some people will always disagree with your choices, and that's okay. You don't need universal approval to move forward with your decisions. Focus on building strong internal validation rather than seeking external confirmation for every choice you make. The ability to stand firmly by your decisions, even in the face of opposition, is a crucial skill for personal growth and success. Your life's direction is too important to be determined by the casual opinions of others. While remaining open to learning and growth, maintain a strong filter for the input you allow to influence your decisions. The most successful people aren't those who follow every piece of advice they receive, but those who learn to trust their judgment while selectively incorporating valuable insights from others. Lesson 8. Your life, your rules, period. From the moment we're born, society bombards us with rules, expectations, and predetermined paths that we're supposed to follow. Go to school, get good grades, attend college, find a stable job, get married, buy a house, have kids. It's like a conveyor belt of life milestones that everyone assumes we should want and pursue. But here's the brutal truth. Your life belongs to you, and you alone have the right to determine its direction. Personal sovereignty isn't just about making your own choices. It's about claiming ownership of your existence. Every time you blindly follow someone else's blueprint for life, you're essentially handing over control of your precious time on this planet to external forces that don't have to live with the consequences of those decisions. Think about that for a moment. Why should your parents' dream of you becoming a doctor override your passion for art? Why should society's timeline for marriage pressure you into rushing into a relationship you're not ready for? Creating your own path requires courage, but more importantly, it demands that you tune out the noise of others' expectations. This doesn't mean you should ignore all advice or wisdom from others, but rather that you should filter everything through the lens of your own values and aspirations. Your path might look messy, unconventional, or even crazy to others, but that's perfectly fine. The most fulfilled people are often those who dared to break away from the conventional script and write their own story. Breaking societal norms isn't about rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's about questioning whether these norms serve your authentic self. Maybe you want to live in a tiny house instead of taking on a massive mortgage. Perhaps you want to start a business at 50 instead of retiring. Or maybe you choose not to have children in a world that often assumes parenthood is everyone's destiny. These choices aren't wrong just because they deviate from the norm. They're simply different paths to personal fulfillment. Living deliberately means taking full responsibility for your choices and their outcomes. It's about understanding that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you absolutely can control how you respond and what actions you take. This level of ownership over your life can feel overwhelming at first. There's a certain comfort in following prescribed paths and blaming external factors when things go wrong. But the freedom and authenticity that come with charting your own course far outweigh the temporary discomfort of taking full responsibility. Your rules should stem from your core values, not from societal pressure or others' expectations. This means spending time understanding what truly matters to you, what success looks like in your eyes, and what kind of life would make you feel fulfilled. Maybe success for you isn't about climbing the corporate ladder, but about having enough time to pursue your passions. Perhaps your idea of a rich life involves experiences rather than material possessions. Creating your own rules doesn't mean you can ignore basic ethics or human decency. Personal sovereignty comes with responsibility. Your freedom to choose ends where it begins to harm others. The goal is to live authentically while being mindful of your impact on the world around you. Your life is not a democracy where everyone gets a vote on your choices. It's your personal kingdom, and you're the sovereign ruler. Every time someone tries to impose their views or expectations on your life choices, remember this fundamental truth. They don't have to live with the consequences of these decisions. You do. So make your rules, chart your course, and own your choices without apology. The only person you need to answer to at the end of each day is yourself. Lesson 9. Excuses kill more dreams than failure. Every day, millions of dreams die a quiet death, not from spectacular failures or insurmountable obstacles, but from the silent killer known as excuses. The human mind is remarkably creative when it comes to generating reasons why we can't pursue our goals, achieve our dreams, or make necessary changes in our lives. Let's address the elephant in the room. The most common excuses that plague us. I don't have enough time tops the list, yet we somehow find hours to scroll through social media or binge, watch TV shows. I don't have enough money is another favorite, even though countless successful people started with nothing but determination. I'm not ready yet, or I need more preparation often masks the fear of taking action. It's not the right time is perhaps the most insidious, because there's never really a perfect time for anything meaningful. These excuses seem rational on the surface, which makes them particularly dangerous. They provide us with a comfortable narrative that protects our ego and keeps us safely within our comfort zones. But here's the brutal truth. Excuses are simply lies we tell ourselves to avoid facing the discomfort of growth and the possibility of failure. The reality is that success doesn't care about your excuses. Every person who has achieved something meaningful faced similar obstacles and had plenty of ready-made excuses available to them. The difference is that they chose action over excuses. They understood that an imperfect start is better than a perfect excuse. Developing strong accountability practices is crucial in combating the excuse habit. Start by becoming brutally honest with yourself. When you catch yourself making an excuse, ask yourself, is this really true, or am I just trying to avoid something uncomfortable? Create specific, time-bound commitments and share them with others who will hold you accountable. Write down your goals and the exact steps you'll take to achieve them, making it harder to wiggle out of your commitments with vague excuses. The most effective antidote to excuses is immediate action. When you feel an excuse forming in your mind, take one small step forward immediately. Don't wait for motivation or the perfect conditions. If you think you don't have time to work on your business idea, wake up 30 minutes earlier. If you believe you can't afford to invest in your education, start by learning from free resources while saving a small amount each week. If you think you're not ready, remember that readiness is a myth. You become ready by doing. Failure isn't your enemy. Inaction is. Failure provides valuable lessons and experience that move you closer to your goals. Each failure is a step forward, while each excuse keeps you exactly where you are. Successful people have often failed more times than unsuccessful people have even tried. Transform your relationship with excuses by developing a bias toward action. Instead of saying I can't, start asking how can I? This simple shift in mindset opens up possibilities rather than shutting them down. When faced with obstacles, focus on finding solutions rather than generating excuses. Your dreams deserve better than to be suffocated by excuses. They deserve your effort, your persistence, and your willingness to face discomfort and potential failure. Every time you choose action over excuses, you strengthen your character and increase your chances of success. Every excuse you eliminate brings you one step closer to becoming the person you want to be and achieving the goals you've set for yourself. The next time you catch yourself making an excuse, remember this: years from now, you'll either have results or reasons why you don't. The choice is yours, and it's made in those small moments when you decide to either act or make an excuse. Choose wisely. Lesson 10. Care less, live more. The art of not giving a fuck reaches its pinnacle when you master strategic ignorance. Life bombards us with endless streams of information, opinions, drama, and expectations. The secret to maintaining your sanity and living a fulfilling life lies in consciously choosing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Strategic ignorance isn't about becoming ignorant or disconnected from reality. Instead, it's about being selective with your mental and emotional energy. Think of your attention as a precious currency. You wouldn't throw money at everything that catches your eye, so why waste your mental resources on things that don't serve your growth or happiness? Most people exhaust themselves by caring about everything. Their neighbor's new car, their cousin's social media drama, their coworker's opinion about their lunch choices, or the latest celebrity scandal. This perpetual state of caring about irrelevant matters drains your energy reserves, leaving you with little left for what truly matters in your life. Energy management becomes crucial in this context. Your daily energy is finite, and every time you invest it in worthless concerns, you're stealing from activities and relationships that could genuinely enrich your life. Start treating your energy like a valuable resource. Before engaging with any situation, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, it probably doesn't deserve your energy today. The beauty of caring less lies in its paradoxical effect. The less you care about trivial matters, the more capacity you have to care deeply about significant ones. When you stop dispersing your energy across countless minor concerns, you can channel it into your personal growth, meaningful relationships, and life goals. This focused approach creates a more purposeful and satisfying existence. Prioritizing what matters requires brutal honesty with yourself. Strip away the social conditioning that tells you to care about everything. Society often pressures us to maintain appearances, stay updated on every trend, and have opinions about every issue. Reject these expectations. You don't need to have a stance on every social media debate or keep up with every new development in pop culture. Living freely means accepting that it's okay to be selective about your engagements. You can choose to be uninformed about certain topics, skip social events that don't align with your values, or remain neutral on issues that don't directly affect your life. This selective engagement isn't selfish, it's self-preserving. The practice of caring less opens up space for authentic living. When you stop worrying about meeting everyone's expectations or staying current with every trend, you create room for genuine self-expression. You can pursue your interests without fear of judgment, develop your unique perspective without external interference, and build relationships based on real connection rather than social obligation. Caring less doesn't mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means being intentional with your emotional investments. Choose your battles wisely. Reserve your energy for pursuits that align with your values and bring genuine fulfillment. Let go of the need to control everything, understand everything, or be involved in everything. The path to living more starts with caring less about the right things. Embrace the freedom that comes with selective engagement. Release yourself from the burden of unnecessary concerns. Focus your energy on what truly enriches your life, and watch how this strategic approach transforms your daily experience. When you master the art of caring less about the insignificant, you create space for living more authentically, purposefully, and joyfully.